In the essay Bite Size Theory, Michael Berube tackles a central problem facing academics in the humanities: how to make their work matter to people outside the university. Popularizing academic criticism is not just a nice idea, but an absolute necessity, even though it seems nearly impossible and is often looked down upon by the academic world itself. Berube begins by stating three things up front. First, popularizing academic work is something we absolutely must do. Second, there is almost no chance that academic criticism will ever be truly popular in the way that television is. And third, in a strange way, the kind of criticism known as theory is already popular in the world, even if people don't recognize it as such. The structure of academic life makes it very hard to reach a broader audience. Academics are trying to write for each other, to produce new and original knowledge that will be judged by their peers. This system, called peer review, is valuable because it ensures quality, but it also creates a closed loop. Professors are rewarded for publishing in specialized journals that few people outside their field will ever read. If academics don't make their work understandable to the public, someone else will do it for them. And that someone is often a conservative critic who will distort and misrepresent it. The political correctness wars of the 1990s showed this clearly. The right wing successfully created a popular and often false image of what academics were doing, simply because academics had not taken the time to explain their work in plain language. One of the main reasons Berube believes academics must try to reach a wider audience is that the ideas they work with are already relevant to everyday life. Concepts like gender performativity, the way power shapes identity, and how meaning is constantly being renegotiated are not just abstract theories. They are visible in popular culture. You can see them in the documentary Paris is Burning, in the sampling techniques of hip hop artists, and even in the self aware humor of TV shows like The Larry Sanders Show. People are already engaging with these ideas. They just don't call them theory. Berube argues that the job of the academic is not to invent these concepts, but to translate them, to show how they connect to lived experience, and to make them available for deeper reflection. However, Berube admits that this is harder than it sounds. He shares a personal story about being asked a simple question about deconstruction at a conference. Even though he knew the question came from someone unfamiliar with the topic, he gave a long, complicated, and ultimately unhelpful answer. He realized that his training had conditioned him to always say something new and avoid simply restating what others had said. To, to be a good popularizer, he learned you had to be willing to explain ideas that are already familiar to you, to give concrete examples, and to repeat things that everyone already knows within your field. Berube also challenges the idea that writing for a popular audience means selling out or dumbing down your work. The current system of judging academic work is flawed because it often values the place of publication over the content itself. An article in a prestigious journal is automatically considered more valuable than an article in a popular magazine, regardless of its quality or influence. Universities should change how they evaluate professors. Instead of just counting publications in scholarly journals, they should also consider professors' work for the public, whether it's articles in magazines, opinion pieces in newspapers, or teaching for community groups. This work should be judged on its own merits, just like scholarly work. He admits this would be messy, but it would encourage more academics to engage with the world outside the university. The essay includes an epilogue where Berube recounts a frustrating experience with a journalist from US News and World Report. The journalist had attended a conference session where Berube spoke and then wrote a column mocking academics, completely misrepresenting what was said. This experience taught Berube a hard lesson. Sometimes, no matter how clearly you try to speak, your opponents are not interested in honest discussion. They're not looking for a dialogue, they are looking to discredit you. This is another reason why popularizing academic work is so critical. It is not just about sharing ideas, it is about defending the very existence of academic freedom and the public funding that supports it. Berube acknowledges that there is a deep tension within the academic left. On the one hand, many academics believe in the importance of reaching a broader public and making their work relevant. On the other hand, the professional reward system pushes them in the opposite direction, towards specialization and writing for a tiny audience of peers. If academics truly believe that their work has the power to help people understand and change the world, they have to find a way to bridge this gap. They have to learn to speak in different voices for different audiences, to value the work of translation and explanation as much as the work of original research. Berube concludes that the fight over political correctness was at its core a fight over who gets to define reality for the public. The right wing understood this and launched a massive, well funded campaign to reshape public opinion. If the academic left wants to have any chance of countering this, it must take the work of popularization seriously. This means stepping outside the comfort zone of academic conferences and peer reviewed journals and engaging with the public on its own terms. It is a difficult and often thankless task, but it is essential for the future of higher education and for the very idea that critical thinking and cultural analysis have a vital role to play in a democratic society.